Hi guys, it's Sarah from Book Nerds and Fangirls, and today I'm going to be discussing 13 Reasons Why, but it's not going to be the book per se, it's going to be more about the TV show adaptation. I guess this is kind of like a book versus TV show. Shady. Meow. Sorry guys, my cat is meowing in the background. She just loves meowing. Man, but today I'm going to be talking about 13 Reasons Why. I guess it's a book versus TV show, if you want to call it that. Now, I'm not gonna talk about all the aspects of the book because I read this book back in middle school. As you can see, this is the original hardcover of 13 Reasons Why. I read this back whenever I was in 7th grade. It came out in 2007, and my god, that was so long ago. I just remember reading this book and it having such an impactful way of how I thought about what I said to a person and what I did to a person. How it could affect them, and I'm shocked that whenever I was talking to people about the TV show that they had not heard that this was a book. Yes, I said, yes, this is a book. This TV show is a book. I suggest you read the book. Warning, the book is not as detailed as the TV show is. If the TV show throws in more details, and we will be discussing this in detail because I'm gonna do a spoiler review. So people that don't want spoilers, I'll talk a little bit about what I thought. I thought the TV show was great. I thought it was a very faithful adaptation to the book. I thought Clay and Hannah's relationship was adorable. I cried whenever the sad scenes came. I was enraged whenever I heard the reasons why like I was in the book. It gave me all these emotions at the same time giving more emotions because they added more character depth to the other people in the circumstance. And one change I'm glad they put in there, if I had to pick just one or two, actually, two or three. Let's do the top 3 things I liked what they changed about the book really fast. One, they added Hannah's parents to the mix, which I don't think they had any of Hannah's parents in the book, which I'm glad. I'm glad that I got to see her mother and her father's reaction to her suicide. I thought it made the TV show more realistic for me. I thought it was a very realistic take on suicide and how it affects other people, not just the person who committed suicide. That's why I love the Reasons Why. They did not just see Hannah's side to things. They made us see all the other character sides to things and how it affected them personally. And I just loved that change because that's the one thing. If that's the one thing I hated about this book, the one thing, which I love this book, guys. It's one of my favorite contemporary novels. I just love it to pieces. But the one thing I couldn't stand was that we did not get a lot of cameos from the others. Reasons why we didn't really get to know them a lot. That we didn't get to know their background stories, and it kind of annoyed me, but I'm glad they added Hannah's parents. Another thing I loved about this book is that it has more to the relationship of Clay and Hannah than it did in the book. Yes, I get that Hannah's Clay's crush and he sees her around school, but I don't remember them working together, I surely don't remember them having a scene dance. I don't even think there was a dance in this book. I have to reread this book, but it's just, I don't know, it's more dramatic. And three, another thing, this one's more to warn people who haven't seen it that there are trigger warnings in here. They even warn you about trigger warnings. So if you have triggers for they're huge spoilers. I don't want to give huge spoilers away, away, but I will tell you now that they do have trigger warnings in the beginning of the episode, and I think they say what the trigger warnings are for, and I'm glad that they put trigger warnings in a Netflix show, because Netflix really got very graphic with some of the scenes that they did, and it's definitely gonna trigger a few people who have triggers for that. That one of the triggers being, and this isn't a huge spoiler because you know what the show is about going in, it's got a huge trigger warning for suicide in this book, and I just want to warn you about that going in. If you're triggered by the thought of suicide, I would highly recommend not watching this series, because that's a huge trigger warning. I won't say what the other trigger warning is for. If you want to know, no, inbox me, I'll send you all the trigger warnings for that. They also have scenes where teens will be teens, so drug and alcohol trigger warning, if that's a trigger warning. I don't think it's a trigger. I don't know what people specifically find triggering, but there are drugs and alcohol involved with this, as well as scenes, very graphic scenes of other stuff, and a scene of suicide. So, warning to all those that are triggered by this, there are things that are gonna trigger you. Even I looked away, and I haven't even been in a lot of these situations that they had, and I'm just all like, just had to look away. But that is it, you guys. That's what I have for you today for non-spoiler people. If you want to get spoiled, if you don't want to get spoiled, go away now. Watch 13 Reasons Why if you still want to after the trigger warning, and I will see you then. But until then I'll hold up the book until I get to spoilers, in which case I won't hold up this book anymore. So, bye, non-spoilery people. Go watch the show. I highly recommend. 10 out of 10 stars. I loved it. Okay, guys. Let's talk about 13 Reasons Why. First, I want to get to the changes that they made in this, because this is a book versus TV show. More importantly, I want to talk about the TV show, but I want to do the book versus TV show. One definite change that they made that I mentioned earlier is a different points of view, because not only do we get Hannah's side of the story, we get all her reasons why, all the other characters' sides to the story, and I appreciate that, because, there's always two sides to every story. There's always, actually, three sides to every story. There's Hannah's side, there's the person she's talking about side, and then there's the truth. And you never know who is actually telling the truth. And I like that aspect. Like, there's three sides to every story, and you don't know which side is real and which one's not. A lot of sides are exaggerated also, but in Hannah's case, I don't think it was exaggerated, because why would she have any reason to lie? Like, if these tapes were just going around to the people that made her kill herself, but meh. Yeah, okay, I want to talk about the new ending, because originally in the book, the ending was that Clay ran to Sky because he knew that she was suicidal, and, it just ends with him saying Sky. But the new ending to this one is that they're all in a car, and, the music plays, drowns out, and other stuff. Also, with the other ending, I think I mentioned it somewhere. I mentioned that somewhere, but I want to talk about the ending. That scene was not in the book, but I liked that they kind of included it. It was kind of like mellow for the tone of the series, because the tone is very dramatic, very drastic. It's very sad also. Also, but you got these tiny happy moments, which I'm glad that this show wasn't just all depressing, or else I wouldn't want to watch it as much as I did. Also, let's see. There are more moments between Clay and Hannah, which I'll talk about in my Clay and Hannah section, because I do have a Clay and Hannah section in here. There's a new opening in the TV show because it's Hannah's tapes playing in the beginning in a memorial and Clay and all the students and whatnot. I like that they changed that beginning because the beginning is just Clay at a post office ready to send the tapes to, I think, Bryce. I'm not sure if it was Bryce or Mr. Porter. I'm pretty sure it's Bryce in the books because I have this list of who he actually sends them to. Them two in the books versus who they send them to in the show. And then Clay actually, instead of sending them to the post office to Bryce, he actually gives them to Mr. Porter and says, "You're the last one on the list. Do with them as you will." She had no instructions about what to do after you heard them. I don't know why exactly Bryce didn't get them. I guess he didn't deserve to know what all happened, because let's get this out of the way. I fucking hate Bryce. Oh, that jackass should, I don't know, end up in jail for every single shit he did, and I hope they literally take him to trial for everything he's done, and we'll get to that in a minute. There's this scene, which I don't think it's in the book. I know one of their classmates dies in the car crash in the book that her and Jenny went through. And through another character change. One's name is Jenny instead of Sherry, but it's Clay's friend that dies in the car crash. And the addition of Jeff being Clay's friend was very awesome to me. I'm glad that they added Jeff in there because I didn't really have an emotional attachment to the person who died in the car crash in the book like I did in the show, because all the moments with Jeff and Clay were so nice. It was kind of like Jeff was Clay's big brother, and it would explain why Clay is more sad as he is. I mean, losing not one but two people, actually three now. If Alex dies in the next season, we don't know about that, but if Alex dies, we'll now know three people who committed suicide. Two people that committed suicide, and one person that died because he was driving drunk, or because of that stop sign. I don't know if he was drunk or not. He had all these bottles in his thing, and it made me really sad. One addition that I'm glad that they added was it taking course over a few weeks instead of like one day, because it's very hard to listen to that kind of subject matter in a night, not to mention how long are those videotapes that he could just listen to within a maybe 10-hour span. I mean, I like that he pauses the tapes and processes them and then processes the emotion that they bring to him, not just processing it all overnight, so he's emotional, and his mother doesn't call the cops because, my son was out all night and he didn't return home. There would be some serious grounding going on right there, so I like that. Also, the addition, like I said beforehand in my non-spoiler section, I like the addition of Hannah's parents. Kate Walsh as a grieving mother was awesome. I just loved her to pieces. So we're going to talk about the reasons now, which are most of the characters in this besides Tony and the parents, but we'll get to that in a minute. admit. So, for what I could tell, most of the reasons are the same in the book as they are in the show, which I'm glad. I'm glad that they had a really faithful adaptation about what they had in the book versus what they have in the show. Most of which I could thank Selena Gomez for, because Selena Gomez actually read this book. I like that there is a person who actually really read this book, got so impacted by what the book's message was, and brought it to someone saying, hey, we need to make this book into a TV show. She brought it to Netflix. It was optioned for a movie, but I guess they decided not to take that route. Which, I don't know if I'm glad or not, because I don't see this going any further than season 1, because you already got through most of the book, so not sure what they're gonna do for season 2. If there's a season 2, I've heard a lot. I've heard that this is just a mini-series and season 1's all we're getting, which I'm personally fine with. I think we got a lot resolved in season 1 besides Alex's suicide out of the way. Also, I forgot to talk about the graphicness, 13 Reasons Why, because the books, books don't really go into a lot of graphics, especially when they're young adult novels. But since the TV show was TVMA, they could go into a lot of graphic scenes. Like, we have 2 rape scenes, and we also have Hannah's suicide scene, which I'll talk about. Which, Hannah's suicide scene, I'm going to talk about a little later, because it's going to be in my saddest scene section, along with the rapes. But the rapes were graphic. It actually showed the rapes. That's very triggering to a lot of people. I really hate watching rape scenes, but, they do happen. We can't just close our eyes and say, this shit doesn't happen anywhere. It does, and it's a very realistic problem we have in the world, which I wish we didn't, but we do, and I know it's just you know what I mean? Let's see. So everything was true to the book. The reasons why were true to the book. Justin. Let me talk about the characters for a minute. Justin, I hated that he's started this petty shit with Hannah. I felt I swayed between Justin. I swayed between hating him and not hating him to just not caring for him at all. By the end, I just didn't really care. I really hated that he just let his girlfriend get raped. That was fucking fucked up, and I don't think I could ever forgive a person for letting his girlfriend get raped. You supposedly love her, and yet you let her get raped, and then you lie to her about it, saying that Hannah's lying about it, but she deserves to know that. I know it's very traumatizing for someone to go through, and I know you thought you were trying to protect her, but if you really were protecting her, you would have done something about it, and that just gets me a lot of anger. Justin's one of my least favorite out of the reasons. The reason I just think he's a fucking asshole, and I hate him so much. Not to mention, you know what Bryce did to Jessica, and you're still hanging out with him because he's your best buddy, and until you were about to lose Jessica because you finally told her the truth, you decided that Bryce wasn't going to be your friend anymore. Why didn't you decide that Bryce wasn't going to be your friend anymore when he raped your girlfriend? That's my problem. Why? That's just, I hated him for that. I hated that he still hung around with a rapist. That's just not cool with me. Cool. So, in the books, they switched, Alex and Jessica. That's another small change. Alex and Jessica, and Sherry's name was Jenny, and then Clay and Justin's reasons were also switched, like the second Justin reason, but we're talking about mostly this show at the moment. So, Jessica's reason, it's a very petty reason to get mad at someone. oh, my boyfriend dumped me and he named you best ass, so it must be your fault. I really hate it whenever people don't communicate with each other. I've had various communication problems. I'm in a various communication problem right now that's been going on for a long time, and I'm getting sick of it, and I hate lack of communication. It just sucks. Sucks. So Alex's reason was the same. Alex's reason was that he put Hannah on the best ass and Jessica on the worst ass to get back at Jessica for not sleeping with him. And I really hate that. I really hate when a guy tries to fuck a girl over just because they won't sleep with them. I mean, there's this thing about waiting for the right time, and it was just wasn't the right time. And then you dump her for not sleeping with you, which makes you seem like a player and a man whore because you can't wait for someone to have sex with you. I mean, sex, don't get me wrong, I've had sex. It's fun, and I love it, and it's very special when it's a person that you care for. But, if she wants to wait, she could wait. It's not, you don't push her into that thing, and that's really fucked that you broke over that reason. Uh, 4 was Tyler. Tyler was the one who did photographs. I had a friend who told me that she hated the way that people treated Tyler. For me, I get it somewhat. I hate that they left Tyler out of the group because they all did horrible things. I mean, they're hanging out with rapists for fuck's sake, and Tyler gets chased for being a fucking pervert by taking pictures of Hannah. Which, yeah, it's creepy, but you don't think hanging around a rapist is creepy? Creepy? Well, that's, that's very, I don't know what the word is for it. Hypocritical. There we go. Very hypocritical. Critical. Oh. Number 5 reason is Courtney. I cannot tell you how much I fucking hate Courtney. Courtney. Okay, so Courtney's reason in the books was just that picture. I don't think the dance scene was in the book, but she spreads this rumor around the dance saying that, oh, it's just Hannah and this other girl, it's not me, because her reasoning is, I have 2 gay dads, and I know how people bash you. But here's the thing, it really sucks when you have to hide who you are just because you give a shit what other people think about you. And I know it's high school, and what people think about you is a very big part of high school, but to me, it's no reason to screw over one of your friends, and it's just a horrible reason. I mean, Jessica and Courtney broke off their friendship for horrible reasons. I just didn't know. No, I didn't like that. And then we have Marcus, who did this, who, skipped out on a date on Hannah, and then called her easy whenever she pushed him away and said no. Which, I really fucking hate. Like, these guys in this show, except Clay and Tony, are all fucking douchebags. I don't really like any guy in here, honestly. I don't really like any girl in here either, except even Hannah has her moments, and I'm just like, oh, really, Hannah? It's just, these characters aren't really likable, but at the same time, there's some aspects of them that's likable, not in a lot of them, but, for Tony, Clay, Hannah's mom, Hannah's dad, everyone that's not a complete douchebag. Zach was, he took, like, one thing I think I hated Zach's reasonings the most, just because Hannah rejected him. He took letters of encouragement out of her encouragement folder, and for a person who goes through depression like myself, I know how encouraging words from other people lift you up in times when you're down. So to me, that's a very unforgivable action. action, especially because it just stems from the sting of rejection, and it's not a good reason to take people's letters of encouragement away, and it's just a really fucked reason. And I liked how Hannah dealt with it, like wrote the note saying, hey, these actually are encouraging me, but he still did it after he read that note, and he knew Hannah was suicidal, and he didn't do anything. And that's the one thing I can't stand, is when people know that people are suicidal and they don't do anything about it. Then we have, Ryan. I don't know if his name is Ryan in the show. I'm sorry, I didn't take time to look it up. But what he did is that him and Hannah were in the poetry club together, and he shared Hannah's poem without her consent. And consent is a huge thing for me. If you don't have a person's consent, don't do anything. Because stop what you're doing, don't do a thing. They didn't consent for you to do that, so how hard is that for people to understand? I guess some people just don't get the importance of consent sometimes, and it's really fucking stupid. But yeah, and then we have Justin, who of course saw his girlfriend get raped, didn't do anything about it, just went back downstairs. I mean, if I was Justin, I would actually try to beat down the door at first, try to go downstairs to get people's help. I would have called the police on Bryce as soon as I knew it was happening. As soon as I witnessed that, both Hannah and freaking Justin should have done something about that rape. And it enraged me, and it was one of the Hannah moments that I just didn't really, it's like, I love Hannah as a character, but I didn't like this scene with her, how she did nothing about it, how the stop sign was more important to her than reporting the rape that happened, and that's just, just it. And then we got Clay, which is the same reason in the book, because, he shouldn't be in there at all. He just fits into the story just flows with him in it. And he was actually one of the nicest people on the tapes. And I can't tell you how much that enraged me in the book and the TV show, because you have this nice guy with other people who have messed up and gave her reasons. He didn't really give her a reasoning except making out with her. When she was distraught and other stuff. I love Clay. Clay is just one of my favorite characters, and he didn't deserve any of this, and that's it's two things that Hannah really pissed me off about is Clay and then the whole Jessica thing, and it's just And then we got Sherry, whose name is Jessica in the book, by the way. Not Jessica. Whose name is Jenny in the book. And she, of course, runs over a stop sign, who kills Jeff in the TV show, but a random student in the book, which I'm glad that we got to know the student that got killed a little bit. It got more of a impact for me, so that was a good job. The Bryce scene, they changed it a little bit from the book. In the book, she goes to Bryce, and she just gives up on herself and lets him sleep with her in the book. At least I think that's what happens. It's very vague in the book, it blurs a line between did she really consent, did she not? And there's this huge thing of what is not consenting and what is consenting, and it's just this huge blur. blur, which Mr. Porter talks about, but rape is rape. Rape, you know, and in the TV show, he actually rapes Hannah. And then we have Mr. Porter, who did the same thing as he does in the book. Hannah acknowledges that she's gonna kill herself. Hannah also tells him very concerning things. She tells him about the rape, and he does nothing. He doesn't follow her when he leaves. He just said, well, you don't have evidence, so you really can't do anything about it. And, you know, it's like, oh, I hate that happened. I really hate that he didn't go after her. I really hate that he didn't try to help her in any way, shape, or form, and that really pisses me off when a member of a school faculty who states that it's very against bullying doesn't do shit in a situation like this, and until the situation is actually brought up more severely, like in Hannah's case when her mother takes the school to trial. I mean, that's like, okay, bullying needs to stop. I hate bullying. I was bullied in elementary through middle school. It's just, bullying is a very sensitive subject to me, and it's just, ugh. It's just not acceptable. So next we have things I hated, because let's get the negativity out of the way first. Let's just say the two people I hated. There's actually only two people I hated more than anything is Courtney and Bryce. And Justin. Those three people did very unforgivable actions to me. Well, Courtney's is a little bit forgivable, but I hate the way how she keeps denying, even though they all know. No. You know, and how she thinks, oh, this is all Hannah's fault, and oh, Hannah's lying, and and then just, not taking responsibility for your own actions really pisses me off. And Courtney's just one of those people, like, I'm not gonna state that any of this is my fault. I'm just gonna blame Hannah and call Hannah a liar. You know, and we already know why I hate Bryce. Bryce. I cannot stand people who rape people. People just, And I hate Justin because I can't stand people who let people rape people. No matter what fucking fucked up family situation you're in, I'm sorry. Sorry, there comes a time when you have to separate yourself from your parents, and this is one of the times I have to separate Justin from his home life. There is one thing that I didn't hate, but I would like to address in this, because I had people who didn't read the book tell me how the show is predictable, and that's why they didn't like it. I had to admit that the show was predictable in the storylines that they were going with. I didn't really see the other suicide coming. That was the one thing I didn't see coming, but then again, because I read the book, it was very predictable to me. But because I had that foundation of the book and getting to see my book translated into a TV show, I was joyous of it. I didn't even care if it was complete utter shit. At least there was an adaptation out there. And I liked how it was faithful to the book. But I actually listened to an opinion for people that didn't read the book. Some say that was very confusing to follow, which I guess is not confusing to follow if you read the book. And you know what's going on. Another said it was very predictable, even though she had not read the book. And someone told her the book was better. And I'm like, I don't really know if the book is better. I think they're actually on the very same level here. And I love them both. They're very close to my heart, and I will recommend this series to a lot of people. Now that we got past the negativity, we'll do things that I thought were well done. Basically, things that I liked. Well, I wouldn't say I liked some of these things. I'm just glad that they're well done. Well done. I'm glad that they covered hard-hitting subjects like rape and suicide because some of them are not talked about nor shown on TV. They're just brushed off, and we don't really. Not that we need to see any of the scenes like we did in 13 Reasons Why, but I like the raw approach they took to it. It seems more realistic. It seems real. It gave me chills because I'm a very empathetic person. So it felt like whenever Hannah's cut her wrist, it felt mine were literally tingling and cringing at that. Same with and then in the rape scene, I felt really sick to my stomach while watching those. Like I said, I don't really like those scenes, but I do get that they happen, and the realness of the show and the rawness of the show really gets to me. Another thing that really gets to me is Kate Walsh's performance as the grieving mother. I actually forgot to mention something. I know two of the actors from the show, only two. I know the mother, Kate Walsh, who played Ethan Montgomery in Grey's Anatomy and Private Practice. I also know the guy who plays Zach. He is actually, it's really funny. He actually plays another jackass jock on Riverdale. He plays Reggie on Riverdale, and I'm like, oh my god, is that Reggie from Riverdale? And I looked it up, and I'm like, oh my god, it is Reggie from Riverdale. But we'll get back to Kate Walsh. Her performance as a grieving mother was very impactful. And we'll get to that in a minute. How I thought she was very impactful. It was one of the saddest scenes with her in it, and it just, oh my god, it got to me. If that was the one scene that had me crying, it was that one. And if you know it, no, you know what I'm talking about. But I will get to another powerful scene right now of her in it, and it's the one where she is in the council room, and they're all talking without her, and then she's talking about what your kids write on the school walls all day, and other stuff, and it's like, I really hated that they neglected her from the parent society meeting, whatever it's called, and how she says that she's still a mother, even though she lost her child. It just really got to me, and it's a really emotional thing, and she is a mother, even though her child committed suicide. And I think that is one of the hardest things a mother could go through, is their child dying before them, and nobody really knows how to deal with it. They really distance themselves when they really shouldn't. It's one thing to grieve the loss of a child, but it's another thing for people to neglect you because of it, and I'm really glad that her mother decided to sue the school, even though she might not win, or maybe she might, who knows. We'll see next season if there is one. If there is, I hope she wins, because, like, for a mother to go through all that, and for a school to do absolutely nothing, really gets to me. And then, of course, I liked how, like I've said 1,000 times in this video probably, I liked the different stories, and I liked how we got background on everyone. I like how Tony gets more scenes, because we didn't really see him a lot in the book. I think he had one scene in the book, one or two scenes in the book, and it was the most impactful scene in the book. And I think it was done, over with, and it's just grrr. I like that they had more Tony. Tony, and of course, Hannah and Clay's relationship, which I'll talk more about in my favorite scene section. And then, I like that they have more background and more chemistry between the characters, especially the chemistry between Clay and Hannah. I actually thought they are very decent as a couple. And other stuff. And of course, I like Dylan and Catherine's chemistry. It made me feel like they really were two best friends that were falling in love, or two best friends that had an attraction to each other. I'm really grateful. Grateful for that scene. The saddest scenes, of course, I mentioned the rape scenes. Rape scenes. It's never easy to watch rape scene. It's very uneasy and unsettling. No matter who you are. And then we're gonna talk about just Hannah's situation in general made me really sad. I really felt for what this girl was going through. Like, we at least have one situation that we've dealt with in these categories, and it really got to me, but I really thought it was a strong message how the littlest things could set you off and they could build until you're just ready to explode, which I liked that they included. The Clay and Mr. Porter scene with the whole we all killed her and other stuff, and yeah. Another impactful scene is Clay talking to the foreign exchange students, and this is one of my favorite lines out of the whole entire series, besides one of Hannah's lines, which I'll get to later. I like his, because everything in this school is, because he's talking about Hannah's suicide, and he's all like, because everyone in this school, we all killed her, because everyone seems nice until they drive someone to kill themselves, and that was a very impactful line, and a very impactful scene, and I loved how they added that to the series, because it's true. I mean, everyone seems like a nice person until they fuck up in some way, or show their true colors, and that was a very great scene for me. And let's get to the suicide scene, because it was a very sad yet impactful scene. Because we get the Hannah making her room neat, and then we get to her in the bathroom. She's holding a razor, and of course the blue nail polish that she painted, thinking today was gonna be a better day, or the day she knew that she was gonna die, and she got the blue nail polish, and it's very, like, blue, I think, is a very impactful color when it comes to depression, because when you think of blue, you think of either mellow or very sad things. It's blue is a very polarizing color. It can either make you happy or make you depressed, which you never know when people paint their nails blue, which I'm glad that blue is a very impactful color, and they actually kept the fact that her nails were blue, and they added the nail polish on there. I liked how they added it. But, and then we get the scene where Hannah is just slits her wrist, and it just, that just gave me chills, and it was very, very powerful, yet very sad scene, because I really tend to not, it's like no one likes suicide, and no one should do it, and I'm at a very, polarizing side when it comes to suicide. Like, I've heard people's stories. Another line I like from this is whenever there's the posters and it says suicide's non-option, and Tyler's all like, well, clearly, not Tyler, Alex is all like, well, clearly it is an option, or else Hannah would still be alive. Why don't we just hang posters on, let's not be dicks to each other? And that's very impactful too, because they always put suicide as non-option, but people still commit suicide even though they say that. And I would really like a whole let's not be dicks to each other poster. But then Hannah commits suicide. I'm not gonna state my thoughts on suicide. That's not what we're here for. But the most impactful part of Hannah's suicide scene was when her mother finds her in the bathtub and she's bled out, and the moment of that separates reality from fantasy is when her mother says, "Oh baby, you're okay, it's fine." It's like, you're gonna be okay, and she knows deep down her daughter has died, but, you know, it's a very hard situation to come to terms with. Her mother is in a stage of denial, which I get, and it was just a soul-crushing scene, and the realisticness, and then you just hear her mother scream for her father, and that scene is soul-crushing to me for so many reasons. And then, of course, my favorite scenes, I love the dance scene with Clay and Hannah. I just like all Clay and Hannah scenes. I like the dance scene, the looking at the stars scene, the walk home scene, the make out scene, the basketball scene, but my most favorite scene between Clay and Hannah has got to be the whole, I think it's on the very first episode, too. Besides the dance scene, which is my ultimate favorite scene, my favorite scene between Clay and Hannah is actually one of the most saddest ones that they have, because it's all like every relationship has its problem, and this was one of Clay and Hannah's, whenever he just assumed that she had sex with Justin, and one very impactful thing that she said, that she repeated that her communications teacher told her is, "Pardon me, but you've really hurt my feelings," and she just walks away. And that's just a really sad scene because it's like a turning point into her descent about suicide, and this whole show is impactful, and I just loved it to pieces. I loved everything about it. I hated nothing. It's a very realistic take. It's a very realistic take about suicide. Very realistic take about how it impacts people when you do it. It also shows a lot about the bonds that can form with people, and how every little thing you do to a person can impact a decision that they're gonna make. And I love how 13 Reasons Why is very realistic. And on this note, I'm gonna say, if you are considering suicide, please know that there are people out there that care about you and want to help you. And there are also suicide hotline prevention numbers that you could call if you feel like you don't have someone, because there's always gonna be someone out there that cares about you, even though you don't think they do. And I will talk to you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you later. Bye!